Let's start this with a prayer. Dear Father, I thank you for this day and this opportunity to be used as a vessel to let your people know that you are available, able, and ready in the name of Yeshua from Nazareth. Let's cut this bread. Matthew 18:1-4 from the ESV says, At that time the disciples came to Jesus, saying, Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And calling to him a child, he put them in the midst of them and said, Truly, I say to you, unless you turn and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Mark 10:13-15. And they were bringing children to him so that he would touch them, but the disciples rebuked them. But when Jesus saw this, he was indignant and said to them, Allow the children to come to me. Do not forbid them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these. Truly I say to you, whoever does not receive the kingdom of God like a child will not enter it at all. And Mark 10:5, but Jesus said to them, Because of your hardness of heart, he wrote you this commandment. Listen, I was on one last night. I heard something about eternity and it literally shifted my spirit. Because then I got to thinking, because this person said, when you compare eternity to time right now, it's like a drop of water in the ocean. It fails in comparison. So I went to sleep and then I woke up and eternity was like on me so heavy. So I start researching like eternity. And I go to Revelations, and you know how you're going to reign with Christ and all of this. But then I started going down deeper, and this is where I get to Matthew and Mark. And one thing that stuck out to me was how the disciples tried to block it. These are adults. They don't have childlike faith. They don't understand that the kingdom of God belongs to those that are innocent and untainted by this world. And I started talking to my titi this morning, and I made a video this morning, and I've tried to make videos I took that one down. For the last 2 hours, I've been trying to make a video. But when I talked to her this morning, and this is what made me redo the video, she asked the question, what separates us from kids? And she says, kids don't see our flaws or our faults, like we're fat, we're skinny, we're this, we're that. She said, when you touch a kid's heart, they love you until their version of you gets distorted and compromised by life. That hit hard. Because I started thinking about when I got distorted, or my perception of people in my life became compromised and distorted by the life that I was living, and it hardened me. I have been hardened from such a young age. I think it was like 10. My grandma had 2 dope houses that they were hers across the street from each other. My mom had an issue with dudes. We were in and out of foster care. My dad was a ghost, surviving all types of like abuses. It hardened me, and I stayed hardened. And why this was so pertinent, because if I didn't come back to this, like my salvation was on the line the whole time, because I'm not walking in childlike faith. I'm not trusting Yeshua or God enough to be vulnerable with them. I'm still hardened and still thinking that I have to be tough or walk around and fear some things. I don't have to fear anything, because the kingdom of God belongs to those that have the childlike faith. And then when I was thinking about eternity, I had to look up the definition, because it gets deeper when you start looking up definitions. Eternity is a seemingly endless or immeasurable time. Eternal is having infinite duration, everlasting, relating to eternity, or characterized by abiding fellowship with God. And this is in the Webster's dictionary. Like, the only way that you can see eternity is by having a relationship with God. So then again, I'm talking to my titi, and she's like, break these words down. So character, the aggregate of distinctive qualities, characteristics of a breed, strain, or type. God requires us to have this childlike faith where we come to him with everything, where we know that he's never going to leave us nor forsake us, and if we are broken, that he can heal us. soul dependence on the Most High, trusting that Yeshua gave his life so that we could live and have it more abundantly. Aggregate means a mass or body of units or parts somewhat loosely associated with one another. So your character is the aggregate, the units or parts of somewhat loosely associated with one another, their qualities. This is how you are. This is how my children are. When you walk with the Most High, this is what it looks like. It looks like total dependence on the Most High and having a heart that is not hardened and still being able to love, because for a long time I was not loving myself. I was not loving people. I was going through the motions. And I think it's very important that we take a step back and we look at ourselves like, what are we really doing? I don't get on here to talk about me like, oh my gosh, I'm Tanya, look at this. Nah, I get on here to be like, look what the Most High did for Tanya, because he can do it for you too. Abiding means continuing for a long time, enduring, lasting, durable. Durable means able to exist for a long time without significant deterioration in quality or value. Because of my relationship with the Most High, and let me tell you, I'm one of those kids who bucks all the time. I don't want to be told what to do, God. And having a hardness still that, prevented me from coming and sitting at his feet and laying it all out like, God, I'm going through this. Instead, I became the adult who was hardened, like, I got this. I'm not going to do this. I ain't got no power, bro. I ain't got no power at all. Fellowship is companionship or company. Company is association with one another. So in eternity, in order for me to have eternity, I got to have distinctive qualities about myself. And I have to have somewhat loosely associated parts with one another, with the Most High, even though like this body, we all don't have the same function, but we work cohesively together for the kingdom. Abiding, staying in the Most High, staying in this word, staying focused, and having my vision just being towards him. And the fellowship, well, the durable, when you're durable, like me going through everything that I went through, I should have been in a worse position. Internally, externally, like spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally. He carried me though. I don't know if y'all really feel that he carried me through this, because he knew I was his child, but I didn't realize that I was his child. And being the child of a Most High, there's some benefits and perks that come to that. I don't have to carry my world. Look, I don't have to carry the world right here. And that's what I did for a long time when I was hardened. Now, back to Yeshua. And him being like, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. So think about it. He called the child over to them. And the child came because the child knew that he was safe. And I'm sure if the parents are watching what Yeshua is doing, the kids are watching too. And they see that he's not like anybody else. That when he's calling you, it's okay to come. He hasn't done anything to compromise their view or leave them with a distorted version of him. None of that happened. The disciples were bringing them Mark 10 to him so that he would touch them, or the families were, but the disciples rebuked them. Again, being an adult, thinking that you know everything, and not really realizing that it's this ability to be like, I'm not in control of everything. Like, it's okay to go. It's okay to come when he's calling me. These disciples were hardened in their own perspective because they're like, well, he's busy. He don't want to see y'all. But not knowing that it's the children who don't know yet, who don't have the wisdom or the knowledge or the breakdown in their view of him or life, to be crushed and be like, nah, I can't. I had that though. I had that for such a long time. Being 44 and seeing that now is wild. It's wild to me, like, dang, God. Even though I'm making videos, even though I'm hollering at you, even though I'm seeking you, like, there's still some unhealed parts of this inner child that I try to duct tape and, you know, put into the deepest recesses of my mind. But Yeshua says, dude, then he got indignant. Indignant is feeling or showing anger because of something unjust or unworthy. The fact that you want to block somebody. And it's not just children, but new believers too. And people being like, well, you got to be like this and you got to be like this. And he's like, nah, I promise you, if you're not like one of these children, you will never receive the kingdom. You will not receive the kingdom of God like a child. Like a child will not enter it at all. Whoever does not receive the kingdom of God like a child will not enter it at all. Children are not with blemishes when they come out. They don't know, right? They're dependent on somebody else. And you have these children that will be like, when they have good parents, my mom or dad is a superhero. They're so strong. They can do everything when they're loved on properly. And that allows them to grow up and have those same characteristics about themselves. Now, this might be a run-on or whatever it is, but I think it's really important that we look at ourselves. Because what has happened now is a lot of people have become hardened and have not helped themselves to the truth so they could be set free and have all of these other things that are building up over time that make them the way that they are. I know, it's a lot. Just know that if you want to get to the kingdom of heaven and be in that spot with the Most High for eternity, you have to be vulnerable with him. You have to allow him to come in and take care of you and feed you and heal you. I know, it's hard. 44 years, man, and now I'm just getting it. It'll be all right though. I'll let God.